No, I'm going to talk about the Andrew Lester haters right now. So, Andrew Lester is the 84-year-old white man who is being persecuted for being white and having shot. You know, I say for being white, right? But for being white and having shot a black young man, and because of the political overreaction against white people, they hate whites. It's a white-hating society right now. It's a national story. We shouldn't even know or care about it. And we don't know or care about it, honestly. But, you know, many of us, including Ake, get caught up with it. Well, Eric Erickson, known rhino, is that unfair to say? He tweeted this. Andrew Lester, I think I have some screenshots of this. Let's see. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't have the tweet. But he said, Andrew Lester should go to prison. Psh, what are you talking about, man? Why? Why should he go to prison? And maybe he should, but why? But I also have a lot of contempt for a grandson who would rush to blast his grandfather when it seems clear he's doing so not because of what the man did, but because of his politics. And he shares this article from the Kansas City Star, this article that was updated today, 4/20/23, April 20th, 2023. Grandson says Andrew Lester was influenced by conservative media. And so the article reads stuff like, let's see. Oh my goodness, terrible. Andrew Lester. The article reads, the grandson of the man charged with shooting a black teen in Kansas City's Northland last week said he was appalled and disgusted at his grandfather's actions and is thankful Ralph Yarl is recovering. I don't find it appalling or disgusting. I find it concerning for both parties, right? And because it's not a good situation, but it's not appalling, nor is it disgusting. I was horrified. I thought it was terrible, says Clint Ludwig, Clint with a K, said of his immediate reaction to hearing about the shooting of the 16-year-old. It was inexcusable. It was wrong. What are you talking about? And this, I found this in a different article. He went on Commie Nonsense Network, CNN, and look at this guy. What is he, mixed? He looks like, maybe he is mixed. I mean, kind of looks like, I almost want to say Hassan, but he doesn't really look like Hassan. He looks like he has darker hair, but he looks like he has braids and, I don't want to say wigger because you're not supposed to say wigger, right? But he looks like that. Like a white guy with the black culture in him. Maybe he is part black, but he has these like braid things in his hair. Wearing a flannel. Grandson of white homeowner who shot black teen speaks out. Clint Ludwig. Grandson of 84-year-old man who shot Ralph Yarl. Ralph Yarl being the 16-year-old black young man who went to the wrong house, wrong street. So he's talking about 28-year-old Clint Ludwig, grandson of the suspect, expressed his support for Yarl and his family. I was horrified, blah, blah, blah. I stand with Ralph. What does that even mean? I stand with Ralph. Dumb. And I really want his family to achieve justice for what happened to them. Justice? That should be sounds like maybe a lawsuit or maybe, maybe it's not manslaughter because he's living, but one of those things. No harm meant assault and battery type of thing. Is there such a thing? No harm meant assault and battery? Anyway, their child or grandchild or nephew's life was fundamentally changed forever over a mistake and someone being scared and fearful. That part may be accurate. Who knows? The grandson who lives in the Kansas City area said he felt terribly. The grandson of this, suspect, I guess you would call him, right? said he felt terribly for Jarl. What a woman. What a disgrace. And look at this old man whom he's turning on and going to the media about. What a grandstander. I know his life has changed forever, and I'm really sorry. Don't be sorry, be careful. That's this guy, Ludwig, this Clint Ludwig, traitor, evil person, mama spirit person, emotional, overreactionary. No fair-mindedness. That's not justice. The only reason why he criticized the prosecutor, right? Clay County prosecutor, Zachary Thompson, for the way he handled the initial investigation and not charging his grandfather immediately. Why would you charge him immediately unless you had evidence to charge him? It looks like an honest mistake potentially to some people. The only reason why he's now receiving charges and an investigation is being held is because of the community outreach to bring attention to this, meaning politics, lynch mob, hatred of the white man. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's the reason. So I'm guessing my hunch is that justice was the initial situation with no charges. That's my hunch. The response has been great. It's been amazing to see the solidarity, communist buzzword, and coming together as a community against the white man. Because you hear even the well-meaning guy Thomas from Detroit, Michigan, who admits that black crime is out of control and blacks are invading homes sometimes and all that stuff and burning white people to death sometimes and robbing them and all that stuff, which I've covered. I may cover more of that. Just to remind people of what sometimes does happen. Not that this guy would have done it. I don't think that he would. Don't know. Ralph Jarl he was plays saxophone. He wouldn't do anything like that. Coming together as a community. Terrible. And look at this picture. Ralph Jarl is out of the hospital. Look at him. He's sitting next to this lawyer liar guy, Lee Merritt, who has struggled with depression according to Commie Nonsense Network, 2018 or 2019 or 2020 or whatever article. Commie Nonsense Network had this article about when African Americans get shot or killed or something like that, these lawyers get a phone call. And it had Evil Crump, this evil black female. Benjamin Crump is evil. This evil black female lawyer liar. Another evil black lawyer liar, I think a male. And then this evil black lawyer liar, Merritt, Lee Merritt, who, according to that article, has struggled with depression. What a sucker. Struggled with depression. And now he's on a witch hunt against white people and exploiting blacks' instinctive hatred towards whites, where they assume, they project their prejudice against whites onto the whites, thinking the whites are prejudiced against them, which in some cases they're right. And there's a reason to be cautious, the reason to have risk assessment because of rampant black crime. It's kind of like my caller yesterday, Joe from Phoenix. In his imagination, Hake is promoting, pretending that most black people are criminals, and JLP are pretending that just for hate dollars, because that's his evil imagination. Same thing with these blacks imagining these evil things. And these are blacks who are not violent. They're some of the so-called good ones, right? Evil parents of this young man hiring this evil guy. Suckers, blind, brainwashed people. But they can't help it because they're black and brainwashed. Have some understanding. Have some patience. Have some mercy. Just because they're not merciful towards you doesn't mean you don't be merciful towards them. This picture is kind of hard to look at. And that Thompson guy said that the shooting had a racial component. Nick, formerly called Nick Stream, now Anchor Baby Show, he pointed out that racial component had nothing to do legally with the situation, is what the people were saying. They were just saying racial component because all the whole community's pretending that, oh, it's white on black. Dumb. This one's hard to look at, though. Look at this boy in the doctor's office. He's so skinny and sad and hurt. But he's doing better now. 2 relatives told the Star they didn't believe Lester was a racist. See, look at that dumb speculation. Why are you even bringing that up? Racist. Far left New York Post. People say New York Post is, this is from the New York Post, right? And thought he likely fired at Jarl, because New York Post covered this from the Kansas City Star. They just basically copied the article. Fired at Jarl out of fear. Ludwig said his grandfather's paranoia escalated in the last 2 years. I hesitate to say he got more extreme, but you say it anyway, because of all this stuff has been extreme. It's been the same story for decades and decades and generation to generation of people believing the same things. It's just nowadays people are acting on it a bit more. Lester's nephew called him a decent man. Look at this Lester guy. Look at him. I'd be scared of this guy. Look at that. I guess that's his mugshot. Wouldn't you be scared of that old man? I don't want to mess with him. Respect, sir. Hands up, don't shoot. Meanwhile, I laugh because it's funny. Lester remains free from the county jail after posting 10% of his $20,000 bond, or $200,000, whatever, with the condition that he's not allowed to leave the state and surrender to his passport and concealed carry permit. Oh, yeah, to see guy. Herman Munster, says Hassan. Poor guy. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Just this lynch mob going after him, projecting their imagination into thinking that that's what's in his heart and mind. I really don't know what to think about when I heard this, says Dean Smith, who is probably the nephew of this guy, I gather. It just kind of shocked me. You don't expect something like that. Lester was home alone because his wife had been in a rehab facility. 84 years old, living by himself. It would be hard for me to believe that he is racist. I know, give me a break. It's irrelevant. Fear and paranoia. So let me tell you what this evil grandson, who looks like I don't want to say wigger because you're not supposed to say that, right? Or is it bad to say that? Vandals said it. Was it Vandals? We welcome you to Wiggerside. Have a nice day in Wiggerside. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway. He said that he and his grandfather, who goes by the first name Dan, used to be very close. So this guy's went by Dan, okay? Lester. Because why would you want to call yourself Lester? I'd rather go by Dan. In the last 5 or 6 years, I feel like we've lost touch. I've gotten older and gained my own political views, and he's become staunchly right-wing, further down the right-wing rabbit hole as far as the election-denying conspiracy stuff, COVID conspiracies and disinformation, but fully buying into the Fox News, OAN, One American News kind of line. I feel like it's really radicalized him in a lot of ways. And that may be true because a lot of people believe stuff that they don't know. Like a lot of right-wingers believe stuff that they don't know for sure. So it may be accurate, but that's not that bad. But he said he's caught in a 24-hour news cycle of fear and paranoia, and that's not a good thing to be in, and that may be true of him. But why are you talking to the media? But it's interesting. I'm going to cover it. And then the NRA pushing the stand your ground stuff, like you have to defend your home. Sometimes you do. Kansas City has a lot of blacks, and not all blacks are innocent little Ralph Yarls. Some of them are criminals. But anyway, when I heard that happened, I was appalled and shocked. I believe there have been some positions that he has that is sort of bigoted and disparaging. He didn't want to call him racist. It's stock. He has stock Fox News conservative American stuff, is what Ludwig, the Wigger, said of his grandfather, Dan, Lester Dan. Anybody who gets an abortion is a murderer. True. Fatherless black families are the reason why crime exists in this country. True in part. It's stuff everybody's heard at the Thanksgiving table every year. What? True things? True statements? Ludwig, sounds like you're as paranoid as your grandfather. You're just on the opposite extreme. Evil person. Sucker. 28-year-old. I hesitate to say he got more extreme. Anyway, what a mess. And by the way, he's a military veteran, this suspect, and former airline mechanic. Avid hunter, longtime gun owner. And by the way, he worked with people of all different races, which most whites who are living today, assorted jelly beans. Wigger side is assorted jelly beans. You know, it sounded more like assorted jelly beans than vandals. Neither of them are Christians, I don't think. But most whites do have to work with all these other races, you know? And they get to. And whites are like the most fair-minded people, and then they're smeared as being racist for being fair-minded. What a joke. Anyway, guys, we're at nearly the top of the hour. I'm going to get to your calls and more stories. I wanted to cover Oh, by the way, real quick, the ex-wife. I forgot about the ex-wife who hasn't seen him in decades. She was running her I almost said big dumb mouth, but I don't want to say that too much in front of the kids. Andrew Lester's ex-wife recalls his fits of rage and violence. I was always scared of him. Evil ex-wife who hasn't seen him in decades talking like that. The ex-wife of octogenarian, meaning he's 80-something years old, charged with shooting Ralph Yarr, said he was prone to violence during their troubled 14-year marriage. They had 3 children, right? But she didn't recognize him. Mary Clayton, age 81. Even an 81-year-old woman is being still evil? Shameful. Wow, I think of 81-year-old ladies as being true ladies. But no, even 81-year-old... I mean, I guess there is such a thing as a Nancy Pelosi. Nervous Nancy Pelosi, how old is she? Who was married to Andrew Lester when she was young, has not spoken to him in decades, and didn't even recognize him when he appeared in the news for allegedly shooting Yarl, who had shown up at his address instead of the one a block over to pick up siblings, according to failing New York Slimes. Mary Clayton had 3 children with Lester. Andrew Lester, real name Dan. Oh, Lester's his last name. I'm confused. Said one of her daughters called her in California on Tuesday in shock at the shooting. I was scared of him. It doesn't surprise me what happened, Clayton told the newspaper. To me, it sounds like an honest mistake, but I don't know. She said her ex-husband had a tendency to erupt in anger and would smash items in their home during his fits of fury. So he would smash items, and so she didn't mention that he hit her. Didn't mention that he hit her. He didn't hit her. Unless she said that he hit her and they didn't cover it, but it seems like they would cover it. So he would smash items because he has this anger inside him, and she brings it out of him, right? Too. And isn't that interesting? Adding that cops told her he could do whatever he wanted in his own home. Yeah, that sounds quite reasonable. Interesting. Interesting. What's not said is telling, isn't it? I think. Anyway, yeah, ex-wives. Malicious and evil and running her big dumb mouth. Sorry, kids. About a man who is much maligned. Those white men. You know, George Zimmerman divorced. Probably the wife divorced him. He was married when he killed Trayvon Martin in a clear case of self-defense, right? His wife left him. And then he tried to get it with other girls. Big mistake, buddy. And then they falsely accused him of threatening them with a gun or whatever. These lovely ladies. And I use the term loosely. Shout out to the ladies. And the false accuser women. And the malicious, vindictive women who think that they're self-righteous. And they are self-righteous, but it's not real righteous. And Derek Chauvin, who also his Asian wife divorced him amidst this thing. Terrible. It's like Job. The whites are like Job. It's not happening to me, but you know, these persecuted whites who get themselves in these situations by doing their jobs or You know, sometimes they do something questionable or perhaps even wrong, and it comes down extra hard on them, and then they lose their wives along with it. Job's wife yelled at him too. Curse God and die. Job's wife told him that. Anyway, keep your head up, keep your chin up, kings. You're not kings. Keep your chin up, persecuted whites. Have dignity in suffering. Be men. Nice. We wish you well. We're praying for you, if we're praying at all. Hopefully not. We're praying to Satan. And we also pray for the deluded, hate-filled blacks and women and blind, brainwashed Zoomer and millennial grandchildren wiggers. We pray for them too, right? Anyway, it is the top of the hour. It's past the top of the hour. I got to get to calls. I just wanted to talk about just the attacks on this man.